He stepped forward, closing the distance between them, his bare feet soundless on the polished floor. Or opportunities to redefine what we want. Bria turned to him, the flicker of hope clashing with the doubts nestled in her heart. You orchestrated the job that launched my career, Akil. You set me up without me even knowing. How can I ever trust that you have my back? Trust? It's a slippery concept, Brie, he replied, shaking his head. You might have arrived at that moment without knowing it, but your talent was always there. I just gave it the spark it needed. His tone softened, coaxing her into a conversation they hadn't had yet, the one lingering in the air like the scent of the rain-soaked pavement. Don't turn this into a betrayal narrative. Bria's eyes burned with frustration and longing. But that's exactly what it feels like. You climbed an entire mountain of my ambitions to reach your own summit. She stepped back, distancing herself from the warmth of his presence, as if it were suddenly too hot to touch. How do I know you're not just using me to get further up the ladder? He ran a hand through his tousled hair, a subtle sign of his mounting frustration. Have you lost your faith in me? Or maybe in yourself? Faith? Bria said, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. That faith got shaken when I found out who you really are. Akil moved closer, his resolve firm as he leaned against the wall beside her, his presence both a comfort and an electric charge. Who I am is different from what I do. I may be wrapped up in this world, but my intentions with you are pure. You need to see me beyond the shadows. The air thickened with tension heavy with unexpressed desires, and the memories of battles fought alongside one another against adversaries lurking in the dark. Bria could feel her resistance buckle under the weight of his sincerity. And if those shadows consume us, what then? She whispered, their eyes locking, the storm outside echoing the weather brewing between them. Then we fight back. Together, Akil said fiercely, the fierce determination like a beacon amid the chaos. I won't let that happen. Our choices may have led us to this tempest, but together we can navigate it. Bria's breath hitched, overwhelmed by the rush of emotion. She wanted to believe him so desperately, yet doubt haunted her every thought. You say that, but what about what you've done, the lives at stake? That's why we need to act. Tonight. His voice was low, a promise wrapped in urgency. We have a chance to control our fate. She paused, wrestling with the collision of their futures, hearts and secrets intertwining in a fragility that felt both thrilling and terrifying. The tension between them buzzed like electricity, charging the air. Then let's make a choice worth fighting for, she breathed, shifting closer, their proximity igniting the unspoken connection that lingered like the rain on the glass. His eyes glinted, a devil-may-care spark igniting within. Bria, do you really believe in second chances? The storm swelled outside, a mirror of their unresolved desires, but all she could do was nod, the hesitation laced with fierce determination. This was their moment. Then let's embrace the storm, she said, the words a rallying cry amidst the chaos. Scene 74, The Art of Strategy. The evening air hung thick with humidity as Bria Finch gathered in the dimly lit conference room, a stark contrast to the rich colors of the bustling city outside. The walls, adorned with sleek modern art, felt more like a fortress today. A polished mahogany table sprawled across the center, littered with blueprints and digital tablets that reflected the flickering overhead lights. The quiet tension among the assembled team was palpable, as if they were waiting for a storm to break. Bria stood at the head, her posture exuding confidence and determination. She surveyed the group. Akil Amari leaned back, arms crossed, an inscrutable expression in his dark eyes. Behind him, Zoe, with her natural curls framing her face, tapped distractedly on her phone, while Daniel, sturdy and focused, sketched figures on a notepad. Okay, everyone, listen up, Bria declared, her voice cutting through the haze of uncertainty. We've underestimated the Reynolds syndicate. They've got more resources than we thought. We need a new plan. The urgency in her tone ignited an electric hum in the room. Akil's brows knitted together. What you're proposing isn't just risky, it's reckless. We can't afford a mistake, Bria. His voice, usually smooth and charming, carried an edge of frustration. Bria's stomach twisted. We're already in deep, Akil. Making no move could be fatal. We need to show strength, not just sit back and let them take the next shot. Zoe chimed in, her voice teasing yet serious. Look, I get the power move, but last time it was just you two wading into the mud, and trust me, you both seem to like it a little too much. Her sly grin was met with chuckles, but the undertone of unease lingered. Enough with the jokes, Akil snapped, the tension coiling tighter. Those aren't mud fights we're talking about, it's our lives. His intensity made Bria's heart race, twisting exhilaration with a hint of danger. Right, exactly. She pointed at the map of the city, lit up like a grid of their potential, showcasing possible routes and hideouts. They believe we're weaker than we are. They don't know we've got a plan, and I'm ready to execute. Playing nice isn't getting us anywhere. The fire in her voice burned brightly, sparking a palpable frustration in Akil. What do you suggest? He leaned forward, his gaze steady on her. The intensity made Bria tingle, a mix of irritation and attraction. You want to launch a counteroffensive? On what evidence? Your gut feelings? Her breath caught, awareness swirling between them, like the electric tension in a charged room. We're not waiting for evidence to save our skin, she stated, rallying herself against his disbelief. We fight now, or we may never get the chance again. The room paused. Everyone was holding their breath, thawing under Bria's incandescent fury. Lisa, one of the newer crew members with engaging candor, softly interjected, I, for one, think it's brilliant. Let's catch them off guard. They'll never see us coming. Or we'll end up as collateral damage, Akil muttered, an edge of vulnerability crackling under his fierce demeanor. Bria committed to the moment, stepping closer, their energy colliding like espresso and chocolate. You don't think I see the risks? I'm not reckless. I'm resolute. You know what puts me at risk? Not acting. The heat of emotion veered toward raw honesty. In the silence, Bria's pulse thudded, her resolve pooling into shimmering hope. Akil blinked, searching her eyes. And you think you can lead us through this? I've already led us this far, she responded fiercely, her pulse racing backward against doubt and fear. Just then, a knock resounded, pulling them from the swirl of their heated moment. The door of the conference room creaked open, revealing Nolan, their tech wizard. Sorry to interrupt, but I may have a lead on their movements. Bria felt the sudden rush of adrenaline. This was the opening they needed. She shot a glance at Akil. His expression remained stern yet softer than before, the shadows of his fears lifting for a moment. Then let's hear it, she breathlessly urged, taking command again, invigorated by the urgency. As Nolan strode into the room with his revealing information, the sparkling glow of possibility reignited the tension in their team, but also an edge of camaraderie. Everyone shifted to lean in closer, the once divided atmosphere blending into a single purpose. With minds aligned and barriers crumbling, the air buzzed with the anticipation of strategy, resilience, and an unsettling hint of passion just beneath the surface. Okay, folks, Bria declared, determination etched into every syllable. Let's take back what's ours. In that moment, as the stakes climbed, she could feel the confidence pulse through her veins, the weight of their mission now striking a deep, unyielding chord. Scene 75. Conflicting motivations. The air was thick with the scent of rain, the atmosphere charged as storm clouds loomed beyond the city skyline. An electric tension mirrored the tempest brewing inside Bria Finch. She stood on the balcony of her penthouse, overlooking the streets below. The city's heartbeat pulsed in the distant echoes of sirens and muffled voices. But here, wrapped in dim light and heavy shadows, her thoughts whirled chaotically around the implications of her choices. A soft thud echoed behind her, breaking her reverie. Akil Amari stepped outside, his expression a mix of concern and determination. He leaned against the weathered railing, the muscles in his arms rippling under the fitted black shirt, his watch glinting in the fading light. You didn't come here to watch the storm, did you? His voice was smooth, but laced with the weight of unspoken words. Bria turned, the breeze grazing her skin like a lover's whisper. I can't help but wonder if we're inviting our own storm, she replied, her brow furrowed. What if we're not just fighting for survival, but against ourselves? He stepped closer, the air between them crackling. The choices we make come with consequences. But does that mean we just back down? Akil challenged, his dark eyes searching hers. In this life, we can't afford to be naive, Bria. A distant clap of thunder punctuated his words as if agreeing with him or warning her. Bria crossed her arms, her heart racing. I keep thinking about the morality of it all. Are we heroes or just pawns in someone else's game? We're players, Akil insisted, his voice low and steady. Can't you see that this is about more than just us? The people we're up against don't give a damn about morality. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration amplifying the storm within him. If I hadn't orchestrated your career, you wouldn't be where you are now. A pang shot through her. You don't get to decide that for me, she replied sharply. My success is mine, not just a side effect of your decisions. Akil's lips pressed into a thin line. And it's my actions that brought you into danger. Are you really going to hold that against me when we're both standing on the edge of annihilation? Maybe I am, Bria shot back, her voice rising. I can't ignore what it means to have built my life on the back of your choices. It makes me question everything. Was I worth it, or just a pawn? Before Akil could respond, Zora, Bria's best friend, burst onto the balcony, her presence vibrant against the encroaching gloom. Is this a bad time for a rain dance? She quipped, causing Bria to stifle a laugh that felt out of place. Now that we have motivation on our minds, might as well lift our spirits? Zora, not now, Bria groaned, her fingers running through her curls, frustration mixed with amusement. She had always appreciated how Zora could inject levity into their darkest moments. Oh, come on, Zora persisted, unfazed by Bria's tone. Life's too short to wallow in conflict. Let's dance like nobody's chasing us. I don't think that's the right strategy in our current scenario, Akil murmured, half smiling despite the gravity. Zora rolled her eyes. Oh, please. You're both so caught up in impending doom. Dance with me and throw caution to the wind. It's either that or drown in all this seriousness, she said, gesturing dramatically towards the brewing storm. Bria couldn't help but smile at her friend's infectious spirit. Okay, Zora. But first, I need to process this. Fair enough, but you know the world doesn't wait for your thoughts to settle, Zora replied, her tone light but with an underlying urgency. Let's at least promise not to become our own worst enemies while we still have time. As thunder rumbled again, a cluster of emotions swirled within Bria. Her resolve wavered as she looked at Akil, whose intensity couldn't be dismissed. Whatever happens next, we need to decide together if we're allies or antagonists, she said, her voice steadying. Akil smiled softly, a flicker of hope igniting in his gaze. We're partners, Bria, whether we're fighting the world or each other, and I'd rather have you by my side. With a flash of lightning illuminating the clouds, Bria's heart raced not just from fear, but from an undeniable connection that tethered them like a lifeline in the storm. Then let's find out what we're truly made of, she murmured, the weight of their choices pressing down on them like the rain threatening to break free. Scene 76. The Shadow of Doubt. The storm clouds loomed heavily over the old warehouse, their dark mass swirling ominously against the fading day. The electricity in the atmosphere pulsed with tension, a distant rumble of thunder echoing the concerns brewing within Akil Amari's team. The air was thick with the scent of rain-soaked asphalt, mingling with the metallic aroma of the city, a heady mix that set Akil's nerves on edge. Inside, the warehouse echoed with the sounds of voices clashing, each word edged with doubt and suspicion. The high ceilings, lined with old beams, creaked as if protesting the weight of the unspoken tension. To the left, Malik stood near a rusted column, his arms crossed tightly over his chest, muscles taut and jaw set like stone. His eyes flickered toward Bria, who stood with her back to him, discussing plans with Akil. Look, I'm just saying, Malik interjected, his tone sharp, cascading through the room. Do we really know where Bria's loyalty lies? This isn't just about us anymore. A chorus of murmurs rose in the background, but Akil held up a hand, silencing his team. He turned slowly to face Bria, his expression a carefully crafted mask. Malik's concerns are valid, but I trust Bria. Bria turned, catching the intensity of Akil's gaze. Her dark curls framed her face, and he could see the flicker of uncertainty in her warm brown eyes. Will trusting me put you at risk? She asked, her voice steady but laced with vulnerability. The tension hung between them as a few seconds ticked by like an eternity. Akil's heart raced. He stepped closer, his proximity sending a ripple of awareness through the air. It's not about trust, Bria. It's about protection. You don't know what you're dealing with. At his words, Bria's chin lifted defiantly. I can handle myself, Akil. I've faced dangers before. Face danger? Malik scoffed from his corner, leaning back against the column. You think you know what it's like to be a target? The stakes here are life and death. In that moment, the spicy undertone of rancor sparked the atmosphere. Akil scowled, stepping into the fray. Enough. This isn't about being a target. It's about knowing who might betray you in the shadows. The confrontation roiled in the room like a thunderstorm prepared to unleash rain. Akil gestured broadly, his frustration spilling over. He wanted to shield Bria from the chaos, but he also needed her to understand the gravity of their situation. Akil, Bria said softly, a plea hidden in her tone, her expressive eyes locking onto his. I'm not the enemy here. He moved closer, their faces inches apart. His heart raced at the nearness of her breath warm on his skin. Then prove it, he challenged, a playful grin evoking tension. What's your next move? Before she could respond, another loud clap of thunder reverberated outside, shaking the windows. The team exchanged nervous glances, the seriousness punctuating all their worries with the threat looming just out of sight. With a deep breath, Brea stepped forward, lowering her voice so only he could hear. My next move might involve a bit more than strategy. We need to execute this without hesitation. The heat between them shifted, blazing with something deeper. He could see passion igniting in her gaze, pushing aside the shroud of doubt, an invitation that sent a rush through him. He leaned in, still relying on the foundational blend of trust they shared. A flicker of anticipation hovered between their lips. Akil hesitated, his hand hovering just above Brea's waist, sensing the vulnerability beneath her fierce exterior. The entire room faded, filled instead with the electric tension of a moment that seemed to stand still, wrapping them in an intimate cocoon above the storm. It's always dangerous with you, he breathed. Sometimes danger leads to exhilaration, Bria whispered back, her pulse quickening as her body leaned into his. Just as their lips were about to connect, the abrupt sound of a chair scraping against concrete jolted them back to reality. Malik coughed. Guys, let's refocus, shall we? Bria stepped back, stealing a longing glance at Akil, her heart racing as both fear and warmth danced in her chest. Yes, back to strategy, but remember, I'm here for more than just conversation. Then let's make it count, Akil replied, the shadows of doubt lingering as they moved back into the chaos, but the pulse of possibility hung unspoken, bright and alive between them. Scene 77, Navigating Danger. The storm thundered outside, rain lashing against the windows of the dimly lit loft where Bria and Akil mapped their next move. The flickering overhead lights struggled against the darkening clouds, casting unsettling shadows across the room. Akil leaned over the table, a hastily drawn blueprint of the rival syndicate's hideout sprawled before them. What if they see us coming? Bria's voice was steady, but a hint of anxiety danced behind her eyes, like the lightning flashing outside. We can't just walk in without a plan. Akil straightened, his eyes sparkling despite the looming crisis. That's where our charm comes in, Bria. We walk in like we own the place, and trust me, they won't see a thing. He flashed a grin that could charm the proverbial pants off anyone, yet the gravity of their situation was never far behind. Your charm is great, but a gun can talk louder, she countered, her tone teasing but tense. The rain intensified, rhythmic and relentless, drowning out the hesitant uncertainty that filled the room. I'd prefer our wits to firepower, he replied, nudging her shoulder with a playful nudge. Think of it as putting on a show. Everyone loves a good show. He leaned in closer, lowering his voice. Are you in? Bria held his gaze, and for a moment the world outside faded. Always, she whispered, a nervous thrill coursing through her. There was a daring spark in his presence that ignited her courage, but beneath that was something deeper, a thought that churned in her stomach, one that she dared not voice yet. Just then, the lights flickered again, and through the darkness, Akil reached out, his fingers brushing gently against her arm. We need to pull together if we're going to outsmart them. We've got to think outside the box. The intimacy of the gesture struck her like a sudden gust of wind, bright and bold. Do you really believe we can do this? Outrun them? Win? She searched his eyes, wanting to believe him, hoping that their combined strength could overcome the demons creeping at the edges. His smile softened, and in that moment the air shifted, The tension of the storm flooded the room between them. "We can't afford to lose. Not now. Not ever." He offered a warmth that belied the tempest outside, and she felt a profound connection swell in the space between them, a fierce determination igniting as their hearts synchronized in a rhythm of trust. "I'm scared, Akil," she admitted softly, breaking through the bravado. "Every time I think I've got it figured out, something else comes crashing in." "Then let's crash back," he said, his voice low and steady. He leaned closer, their foreheads nearly touching, electricity crackling in the charged air. "There's no turning back with this, Bria. No surrender." He paused, weighing his words. "If we're going to play this game, let's do it together." The rain reached a crescendo, the thunder echoing like a heartbeat. Bria inhaled, the familiar scent of fresh rain mingling with a hint of Akil's cologne, intoxicating and grounding. "Together," she repeated, each syllable solidifying their pact. "Together." His gaze was unwavering. Akil brushed a thumb across her cheek, a gesture as gentle as the delicate brush of rain outside. With that touch, countless unspoken words swirled around them, the weight of truth nestled in the warmth of their intimate proximity. The intimacy was electric, shimmering like the storm-soaked air. "What about your past? What if it catches up?" Her voice dropped to a whisper, a challenge laced with vulnerability. He hesitated, the flicker of a shadow crossing his features. "I'll deal with it when it comes." It was a promise, tinged with uncertainty, yet solid. "What if that past is what puts us at risk?" She pressed, but her heart raced, betraying her own fear of losing him before they truly began. "I've built this life. I won't let it be torn apart, not by anyone." He held her gaze fiercely, and with that intensity emerged a silent plea, something fierce and protective simmering beneath his exterior. Bria stepped closer, the warmth of their bodies nearly merging as their desires collided with the truth of their tumultuous reality. "And if this is our moment, our only moment, then let's make it count," he murmured, closing the distance, their lips almost touching, the storm outside intensifying as if the world itself willed them together. In that moment, bound by trust and the echoes of thunder, they understood that through the danger and the secrets, their love was the compass guiding them home. Scene 78, Echoes of the Past. As the sun dipped behind the clouds, tender hues of orange and purple bled into the evening sky, casting a soft glow over the urban landscape. The air was thick with the smell of rain-soaked asphalt, and a distant rumble of thunder hinted at an approaching storm. Inside the dimly lit cafe, the atmosphere buzzed with the low murmur of voices, punctuated by the clinking of cups and the hiss of the espresso machine. Bria sat at a corner table, her fingers nervously tracing the rim of her coffee cup. She instinctively glanced at the entrance with each shifting shadow, scanning for Akil, whose absence was palpable. Just as she sighed, the door swung open, and she caught his silhouette against the bright backdrop of the street. "Did you forget I ordered the special? Black coffee and a side of charm?" Bria quipped, her tone light, though her heart raced. Akil grinned, his charming facade barely masking the tension simmering beneath. "Did you really think I'd abandon my reputation?" He approached the table, taking a seat, the flicker of warmth in his eyes overshadowed by something unspoken. "You look deep in thought. What's brewing?" "Just the usual," Bria replied with a shrug, although her mind was heavy with the uncertainty of their complex relationship. She leaned in, whispering conspiratorially, "Have you seen anyone following you?" His expression shifted, a flash of worry gracing his brow. "Do you feel it too? I've sensed shadows creeping in, and not just in the streets." Before Bria could respond, an abrupt commotion erupted at the far end of the cafe. A group of rowdy men burst in, laughter ricocheting against the walls like gunfire, their energy a stark contrast to the intimate conversation unfolding. Among them was one she recognized, Malik, a notorious figure from Akil's past. The man exuded an effortless arrogance, his laughter echoing like a distant threat. "Just when I thought I was done with ghosts," Akil muttered more to himself than to Bria. "What should we do?" Bria's voice lowered to a whisper, tension rigid in the air between them. Akil waved his hand dismissively. "Ignore it, focus on us." Yet, his gaze flicked toward Malik, whose booming laughter sent a chill through Bria's bones. "You guys don't get it," Malik shouted across the room, his audience hanging on his every word. "Life's too short for regrets." especially when you've got people who owe you. His eyes landed not just on Akil, but on Bria, a smirk twisting his lips. Like your darling here. Pretty face, but who knows what she's hiding behind those dew eyes. Bria felt her heart stutter, her pulse quickening as a myriad of thoughts raced through her mind. He's trying to provoke you, she whispered, her voice barely above the din of chatter. Provoking me? It's adorable, Akil replied, though there was an edge to his humor that hinted at the darkness lurking beneath his charm. I just didn't think he was courageous enough to show his face. Courage or stupidity? Bria countered, half joking, though worry colored her tone. I don't know if it's wise to stay here. Leaving after we just arrived would give him the upper hand. Trust me. Akil's voice was steady, but Bria caught the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. Words unspoken, the deeper scars of their past catching up with them. As the cafe's atmosphere shifted toward tension, the laughter from Malik's group devolved into an argument between two men over a forgotten debt. Akil's demeanor shifted, his protective instincts igniting as he leaned across the table. You okay? He asked, eyes focused solely on her. Bria took a deep breath, her nerves slowly settling with the warmth of his presence. I am. But let's not pretend that this won't end in chaos. We need to think ahead. I've always got a plan, Bria, Akil replied, a hint of reassurance mixed with an undercurrent of foreboding. It's what I do, but right now we talk it out like civilized people. Malik's voice broke through their moment of connection, sharp and laced with entitlement. Talk, talk. That's adorable, Akil. But you know what? Some things can't be talked out. They need to get dealt with. Bria exchanged a glance with Akil, her heart thumping wildly as the storm outside swelled, echoing the tempest brewing within the cafe walls. I don't want you involved in this, Akil said suddenly, the tension radiating off him palpable. What do you mean? She challenged softly, pressing closer, feeling the emotional undercurrents entwine them. I'm in this with you, Akil. You deserve better. His voice softened, the sincerity drawing her in, making her momentarily forget the chaos around them. But I want you. Bria's words hung heavy in the air, the truth rippling between them. All of you. Just then, the cafe doors flew open as rain began to pour, the storm now battering the windows. With each clap of thunder, they could hear Malik's group escalate into a raucous brawl, laughter turning to shouts. The cacophony outside faded as Akil's focused gaze bore into hers, the world outside vanishing for a brief, breathless moment, leaving only the two of them. Then let's fight together, he said, voice low, a spark igniting between them, illuminating the gravity of their shared turmoil. As the storm intensified, so did their resolve, and Bria knew, deep in her heart, that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side. Scene 79. Strength from the ashes. The dimly lit warehouse buzzed with a palpable tension, the scent of iron and aged concrete creating an atmosphere thick with unspoken words. Shadows danced in the corners as heavy machinery hummed softly, the sound a stark contrast to the brewing storm outside that rattled windows. Raindrops pounded against the metal roof, a chaotic rhythm underscoring the urgency in the air. Bria Finch stood at the center of the room, her measured breath matching the intensity of the storm. The crew gathered around her, men and women gripped by a mix of uncertainty and fierce loyalty. Akil Amari leaned against a nearby pillar, arms crossed, his dark eyes narrowed, watching her intently. Bria's shoulders squared with each word she spoke, a testament to the strength that had blossomed within her amidst the chaos. Listen up, she called, her voice cutting through the hum. Our enemies think they can intimidate us. They believe we're fractured, that they can tear us apart while they sit in the shadows. But we are not afraid. Her resolve hung in the air, as potent as the scent of rain-drenched earth. But Bria, muttered Malik, his voice low, you're taking on the syndicate head-on. They won't back down just because we want them to. His tone dripped with worry, and the crew shuffled slightly, glancing at one another. Fear isn't our ally, she replied, her eyes narrowing on Malik. Use your fear. Turn it into action. This isn't just about survival. It's about reclaiming our family. We're stronger together, and we owe it to each other and ourselves to fight. Each word ignited a spark in the room, awakening hope. Max, a tall technician with a quick smile, grinned. Did you just call us family? I thought this was a business. The chuckles that followed lightened the weight in the air, if only slightly. Jen, a fiercely clever strategist with a knack for tech, added, "Don't listen to him, Bria. He just wants a reason to keep us on payroll for longer." The laughter echoed momentarily, shattering the storm's roar, yet as quickly as it came, silence returned. Akil shifted, his gaze a storm of emotion. "I can't keep protecting you, Bria," he said finally, stepping closer, voice low but firm. "You're taking too much risk. This isn't just yours to bear." Bria turned, met his fierce determination with equal fire. "And quit underestimating me, Akil. I'm not just the pretty face anymore. Every minute I'm in the dark, I risk losing everything. I can't just stand by and watch." The crack of thunder echoed outside, mirroring the rising heat between them. She felt their connection aflame, a tempest of loyalty and unresolved tension. Akil ran a hand through his hair, clearly frustrated. "This isn't a game, Bria. It's not just about your sense of justice. I've sacrificed a lot to keep us all safe. Please don't make me choose." The silence that followed was laden with meaning. The crew stood still, suspended between their leaders' clash. A shared glance between Jen and Malik revealed their worry. We all recognized the weight of Akil's words. Finally, Bria stepped forward, a calm resolve thawing the anger between them. "I never wanted you to choose me over your mission, Akil, but you keep treating me like I can't handle this." She reached out, fingers brushing the arm of his jacket, grounding them both. "We can do this together. You need to trust me." Akil sighed, the creases around his eyes softening. "I do trust you, Bria. I don't want to lose you." His admission hung in the air, heavy and real. "Then stop pushing me away." She leaned in, the warmth between them crushing the distance, both aware of the unspoken truth lingering just beneath the surface. "Maybe one day I'll believe you can truly stand on your own," he whispered, the corner of his mouth lifting in a half smile. Just then, the warehouse door crashed open, and a drenched figure barreled in, gasping for breath. "They're coming," Benita shouted, eyes wide with alarm, relaying the message of urgency that chased away the intimate moment they just shared. "We need to move now." The tension electrified the space once more, and Brea steeled her resolve. "All right, everyone. Positions. We'll show them that they picked the wrong fight." "Together?" Max grinned, rallying the energy back into purpose, sparking the fire within their hearts. "Always together," Bria affirmed, her voice unwavering, catching Akil's gaze one last time, flickering with something deeper, something that suggested this was merely the beginning. Scene 80. Voices of encouragement. The soft pattering of rain against the large bay windows of Akil's loft created a sanctuary from the chaos outside. Thunder rumbled in the distance like the muffled growl of some unseen beast. Inside, however, the atmosphere hummed with energy, a mixture of anticipation and tension that crackled in the air. The room was awash in warm light, showcasing the sophisticated blending of modern and classic decor, plush couches, rich mahogany tables, and an array of photographs that captured moments of triumph and laughter, each telling a story of strength and community. Bria adjusted the oversized knit sweater she wore, a gesture that felt both comforting and foreign. She had thrown it on earlier, seeking warmth amidst the chill that settled in her bones after yet another confrontation with Akil. She could still feel the weight of their unresolved argument lingering in her chest, tightening like a noose every time her thoughts drifted back to his guarded demeanor. A sudden burst of laughter jolted her from her reverie. To her left, a small gathering of Akil's associates encircled a table laden with snacks and drinks. They were discussing the latest social media trend, their energy infectious. Bria watched as Tony, a fierce woman with an infectious grin, dropped a handful of chips, sending them scattering across the floor. "See, and I thought I had a good handle on this," Tony exclaimed, her laughter ringing clear as she bent to collect the chips, tossing some playfully at Marcus, a tall, athletic man with kind eyes who effortlessly exuded warmth. He chuckled, reaching over to help her. "Maybe you just need some lessons," Marcus teased, nudging her playfully with his shoulder. Bria's laughter joined theirs, the sound echoing off the walls, blending with the rhythmic patter of the rain. It felt good. The warm connection wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. She was still an outsider here, yet moments like this made the edges blur. "I would teach you, but I'm a little too busy keeping everyone else in line," Marcus quipped, shooting a faux serious look at Jasmine, who was diligently typing on her phone, seemingly lost in a digital conversation. I'm just coordinating the next big social event. And by big, I mean fancy appetizers that won't get thrown across the floor, Jasmine replied without looking up, a hint of a smirk playing on her lips. Like we'd trust that from you after this? Tony shot back with a playful eyebrow raise. As the laughter echoed around the room, Bria realized how different this energy was compared to the tension that had filled her earlier conversations with Akil. A part of her longed to pull him into this cocoon of warmth, but the shadow of betrayal loomed larger than ever, a reminder of the secret he had kept from her. Bria, Tony's voice pulled her from her thoughts, and as she turned, she noticed the fierce determination in her eyes. You should join us. You've got a great sense of style and flair. We'll need you when we emerge from this place like the phoenix we are. Bria blinked, taken aback. You really think so? Absolutely. Tony clapped her hands together, radiating encouragement. I mean, if you survived Akil's initial charm, you can survive anything. A hesitant smile spread across Bria's face, warmed by the support. The truth was buried under layers of doubt. Was she strong enough, worthy enough? But here, in this moment, something shifted. Marcus nodded, his look sober but supportive. Tony's right, Bria. You bring a fire. We need that to light the way. Even if that means dealing with the storm, Bria added, a note of concern flickering through her voice. Especially then, Jasmine interjected with a firmness that sent a tingle up Bria's spine. You know Akil values loyalty above all. He and his crew could use that same strength and audacity you have. As the thunder rumbled louder outside, Bria felt a spark ignite within her. Maybe being swept up in the currents of their world wouldn't mean losing herself, but finding parts of her she never realized were hidden away. Okay then, Bria said with newfound resolve, pulling the sleeves of the oversized sweater back and looking each of them in the eye. Bring it on. I'm ready. Their cheers filled the room, ringing out over the storm, creating a bond far more intricate than she had anticipated. Perhaps she wouldn't be alone in this fight after all. With laughter echoing against the walls, the storm outside continued, its shadows cast across the room, an ominous reminder of what lurked beyond. Yet the brightness within this circle felt stronger, an armor against the darkness that sought to encroach upon them. I'll promise I'll handle the next tray of snacks with grace, Bria said, grinning as a challenge sparked back to life, fanning the flames of camaraderie. And for the first time in a while, laughter didn't sound like a distraction. It sounded like a lifeline. Scene 81, A Secret Alliance. The rain hammered the roof of the secluded warehouse, a rhythmic symphony that mirrored the storm brewing within Akil Amari's mind. He pressed his forehead against the cool metal of the window, the scent of damp earth wafting through the air. He caught a glimpse of Bria Finch across the room, her focus sharp as she paced, her hands gesturing emphatically while she reviewed their precarious situation with evident determination. The flickering lights cast shadows across her face, emphasizing the fire within her eyes. This morning felt heavier, laden with an undercurrent of conspiracy. Akil had been strategizing, his internal conflicts leaping like wildfire in his chest. Just a few hours earlier, he had made the choice to engage unexpected allies, an alliance with Gwendolyn Lyric, a crucial player in the ongoing war against the rival syndicate. Trust was a fragile commodity, and he didn't know how Bria would react to this shift in their plans. Akil, Bria interrupted his troubled reverie, her voice brisk and challenging, a clash of thunder sharpening the air around them. You can't honestly think the Lyric sisters will back us. They're as notorious as the syndicate. Akil turned, meeting her fierce gaze. The tension between them was palpable, almost tangible, drawing tighter with every beat of his heart. They have resources, Bria. We need that firepower if we're going to come out ahead, he countered, his jaw clenched, aware that this conversation was more than just strategy. It was personal, a test of loyalty. Firepower? Or a backstab in disguise? She stepped closer, the warmth of her body contrasting with the chill of the room, and he could feel the charged air around them. Akil was acutely aware of every inch that thinning space between them, as they stood locked in this verbal duel. And what do you want me to tell you, Bria? That I'd risk everything on a hunch? His voice was steady, yet the emotion beneath his steely exterior pressed to break free. She narrowed her eyes at him, her defiance palpable as she leaned in, her breath brushing against him, mixing with the raw smell of rain and worry. I want you to trust me, Akil. This isn't just about tactics. This is about us. The intensity of her words ignited a spark within him. Every argument they had shared over the past weeks felt like rehearsed lines in a play they were both unwillingly cast in. He could feel the heady weight of unresolved attraction pulsing between them, a rhythm that called for reckoning. Do you even know what you're asking? He whispered, inching closer, a world of tension crackling between their bodies. My past isn't something you can play with. What's your past to me if you never share it? Bria's eyes shimmered, vulnerability lacing her brave front. All those secrets just put walls between us, Akil. Do you really think you can do this alone? He reached out, fingers brushing against the side of her jaw, caressing the warmth of her skin as he searched her eyes. Their breaths mingled, hot and heavy, and the storm outside seemed to retreat within them. You think I don't want it to be vulnerable with you? Before she could respond, temptation tightened its grip. With a sudden movement, he drew her in closer, capturing her lips with a kiss soft yet urgent, a desperate clash that spoke of unspoken tensions and the longing that had been growing like wildfire. Bria responded instantly, her hands weaving into his hair, deepening the connection as the world around them faded into nothingness. The kiss was everything, a collision of desire, trust, and fractured hopes merging into intoxicating fervor. The moment unfolded like a delicate bloom, promising to break through the facade they'd both worn for too long. But as they pulled away, their foreheads pressed together, their breaths mingled like the storm raging outside. Thoughts raced about alliances, about secrets yet to be uncovered, about the dangerous game they played. Let's just survive today, Akil murmured, feeling the warmth of Bria's spirit like a flame against the dark. Together, she replied, a soft light igniting in her eyes, though shadows lingered in the corners. As the storm raged on outside, a new chaos was stirring on the horizon. Scene 82, Internal Struggles. The scent of freshly brewed coffee swirled through the air, dancing alongside the rich aroma of spiced cinnamon in Bria's kitchen. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating the chaotic array of half-prepared pastries and a collection of flour-dusted utensils on the counter. She stirred the batter distractedly, her thoughts churning like the mixture in the bowl. Are you seriously making muffins at a time like this? Called Jamal, Bria's playful yet seemingly cynical friend, as he leaned against the doorway. His arms were crossed, a bemused look playing on his features. Cinnamon and chaos? Quite the combo. Bria paused, her wooden spoon hovering over the bowl, and gave him a pointed glance. I need to do something normal, Jamal. Please stop reminding me of the impending whirlwind outside. Oh, I won't touch that. Just don't forget you've got an appointment with reality later, he teased, pushing off the wall and sauntering toward the coffee pot. Want me to add some rum to that batter? It would match your life better at this point. Funny, Bria shot back as she moved the bowl to the side, fury bubbling underneath her calm facade. I'm just trying to get a grip. Can't I have a moment of normality without your cynicism? As the tension simmered, the doorbell echoed through the apartment, a ringing chime that felt like a reminder of their chaotic reality. Jamal raised an eyebrow. Shall I get it? Or do you want to keep pretending muffins are going to save you? His smirk lost some of its lightness, sensing Bria's agitation. Just answer it, she snapped, hands clenched into fists against her sides. To cover her irritation, she busied herself with cleaning the counter instead. Jamal's footsteps retreated, and Bria could hear him murmuring with a voice she recognized, all too well on the other side. Akil. The sudden rush of warmth through her chest almost knocked the breath from her lungs, a cocktail of eagerness and apprehension swirling together. As the door swung open, Akil stepped inside, his stature striking against the more mundane backdrop of her kitchen, where sleight-of-hand magic met chaos. His expression was a mixture of concern and mischief, a mix that made her heart race. Got room for another muffin eater? He grinned, but the glint in his eyes betrayed something deeper. Only if you can handle the chaos, she replied, her voice softer than she intended. The air grew thicker around them as her gaze locked onto his. She caught a flicker of vulnerability in his own eyes before he masked it with a smirk. "I thrive in chaos," Akil challenged, stepping closer. The scent of peppermint and crisp cedar enveloped him, igniting her senses. Standing there, so daringly confident, he transformed the mundane kitchen into a stage for their unspoken desires. "Easy to say when you're the one orchestrating it all," Bria replied, her heart pounding. How did he manage to captivate her even in moments when she was wrestling with her own demons? Akil's gaze softened momentarily, the walls he held up cracking. "And what does that make you, Bria? Just another pawn in my game?" He reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear, the tenderness of the action sending sparks down her spine. "Is that how you see me?" she whispered, both challenged and intrigued, the gravity in his eyes pulling her closer. "No," he replied, his tone suddenly serious, the laughter fading between them. "You're anything but a pawn." Their breaths mingled in the small space, a tingling electricity hanging, promising both comfort and chaos. The tension escalated, brewing like a storm outside, and suddenly, Bria's heart raced for a different reason. She stepped back slightly, breaking their gaze, the foundation of their connection trembling beneath the weight of her doubts. "Can we really trust each other? Can I trust you?" Akil countered, an unexpected vulnerability lacing his words. She glimpsed the turmoil behind his confident facade, his dark past clashing against their burgeoning connection. She sighed, suddenly feeling the weight of everything pressing against her. "Perhaps we'll just have to find out together." With that, he moved closer again, their bodies brushing against one another, igniting the spark they had both been denying. The air crackled, heavy with unspoken words and emotions. As he leaned in, capturing her gaze once more, their lips met gently at first, then deepening with the urgency of two souls rebelling against the uncertainties around them. As they melted into the kiss, reality faded, leaving only the taste of cinnamon and the promise of uncertainty hanging between them. It was a brief but intense interlude before they both stepped back, breathless, the world rushing back in with a nagging weight. "Wow," Akil breathed, alarm mixing with elation in his voice. "If I knew baking would lead to this." "Yeah, well, let's not make it a habit," she replied, a smile breaking through the tension. Yet the unspoken truths danced just below the surface, waiting to unravel yet again, reminding them both that the storm was far from over. Scene 83, the stakes rise. As thunder rumbled in the distance, Bria Finch stood at the kitchen island, her fingers tracing the rim of a porcelain coffee mug that offered no comfort against the gathering storm outside. The gentle rain began to patter against the windows, intertwining with the rising tension in the air. She breathed in the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee, though it felt like a bitter reminder of her troubled heart. "Akil, we can't just sit here and pretend nothing's happening," she said, her tone equal parts urgency and frustration as she stirred the blend absent-mindedly. He leaned against the counter, arms folded tightly across his broad chest, a storm brewing behind his dark eyes. "I'm not pretending. I'm being strategic. You need to trust that I know how to handle this." As another flash of lightning illuminated his strong features, Bria felt a rush of conflicting emotions. "Trust? Right now, trust feels like a luxury we can't afford," she snapped, unable to suppress the bitterness creeping into her voice. "You don't know what it's like to feel so exposed, so vulnerable. There are people out there. People who can and will come for you, yes, I know." Akil interrupted, stepping closer, the echo of his voice like the rumble of the storm. "But reckless decisions won't save you. They'll endanger us both." They both knew who was watching, lurking in the shadows of their lives. The rival syndicates were poised for war, their motives wrapped in secrecy and greed, turning their world upside down. Bria's gut churned with the weight of it all, the fear of losing everything, and the gnawing thought that Akil's closely guarded secrets could undermine their alliance. "But you've got your secrets too," Bria shot back, her eyes narrowing. "How can I fight alongside you when I feel like I'm just a pawn in your game?" Akil straightened, his expression hardening, yet punctuated with a hint of vulnerability. "I did this for you, Bria. This life, it forces choices that can shatter us. I orchestrated your job to give you a chance to rise above it all, to not just be a victim," he said, his voice low, almost pleading. But if I reveal too much, it's not just our lives at stake. You think I'm afraid of the truth? Bria challenged, finally dropping her gaze to the swirling coffee. Maybe it's the lies that frighten me. The tension hung thick between them. Just as the rain outside picked up fervor, so did their argument, a tempest of words that could either clear the air or drown them both. Akil inhaled sharply, the vulnerability slipping momentarily free. I've lost people before, Bria, and if you think you're the only one lost in this, then we're both in trouble. I can't afford to lose you. His voice was taut with emotion, each syllable heavy with the weight of fear and longing. Then stop keeping me at arm's length. Bria burst out, her own heart racing, frustration and desire battling within her. If we're going to fight, it needs to be together, not with secrets in the dark. Their eyes locked, and for a moment the world outside faded into insignificance. The sound of thunder crashed louder, punctuating the silence that echoed between them. The passion in the air transformed, an electric charge that crackled and sparked. Together, he echoed, stepping forward, his tones softening. The steely resolve in his eyes began to melt into something warmer, more inviting.